Take it away.
Okay, guys, so this is going to be jam-packed the next 90 minutes, so make sure you've got 90 minutes set aside. I'm going to just blow y'all's mind with a ton of little nuggets. All of this stuff I'm going to share with you, these are things I found by accident. So if you're on this web class and you've taken coaching and training and you've been to masterminds and conferences, the stuff I'm sharing with you today is stuff you're not going to hear about at any of those conferences or any of those coaching programs. By the way, I've paid the dues. I've been through all of them. Buffini, Tom Ferry, Proctor, they're all amazing. All these coaching programs are awesome. And I owe a great deal to all of them. But the stuff I want to share with you today are things that I found by accident. And these are the little hacks that are going to help you have explosive growth. So, anything you got like notifications, whatever, I'd encourage you to turn it off because I do get into a groove and I'll start talking really fast. And I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get going. Okay, awesome. So here's the deal, guys. I started a real estate team in 2010. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But we scaled the real estate team. We grew super fast. So in 3 years, got north of 300 closings in that 3 years. Netted $1 million after all expenses. And so I call it brokerage hacks because we found a lot of hacks to accelerate the growth curve. So in 2010, just to give you all some context, I was a single agent. I was just an agent and I'd only sold 6 homes before I started. So just that's a little bit of context for you. And so I'm going to be sharing with you guys these 3 big secrets that are the big hacks, in my opinion, to scale your business super fast. So something I'm going to dive into a little bit, more specifically about my business. So I started a company in Austin, Texas. Again, I was an individual agent and only sold 6 homes. And I started a brokerage, having no clue what I was doing. And my weird niche brokerage today, right now, is making $15,342.46 per day. I checked this with my bookkeeper yesterday. This is to the penny. This is exactly how much money my primary team in Austin, Texas is bringing in every 24 hours, like clockwork. And so I'm going to show you guys how to ethically knock this off in less than 6 weeks. Okay, so I'm going to give you all some very tactical things to start implementing through these 3 big secrets so you can start, building the foundation to make this happen, or maybe make some pivots in your business. So it's super important to me that you guys use this, use this information I give to you, use it in a very ethical way. I think there's things you're going to learn where somebody could try twisting it and you could potentially compromise yourself in terms of being, compliant with the real estate commissions and all these things. So there's a very compliant way to go about doing all this stuff. I'm not an attorney, and unfortunately, I only have about a little over an hour to go through all this, so I can't go through all the little nitty-gritty details. Speaking of that, so on this webinar, again, it's a little over an hour. I'm going to give you my 3 biggest nuggets, the 3 biggest secrets I can share with you. But in 1 hour, you're not going to be able to emulate everything to the T in 1 hour to learn how to make over 15 grand per day. So just to tell you all a little bit about my story, when I got started in real estate in 2010, to be just totally honest with you guys, I had just come out of this massive failure of a business in 2009. So how many people remember 2009? What was going on in 2009? The stock market crashed, right? The stock market dropped down. The Dow Jones was at 4,000 or 5,000. And the business I had in 2009 totally crashed. And in 2010, I had just turned 25 years old. And I was just trying to cover some bills. So when I got into real estate, I was just trying to cover some bills. And then in the spring of 2010, I got a call from this company that sold websites. And I was asking the company, can you give me a list of customers that are having a lot of success? And I said, more specifically, can you give me a list of customers that are really young? Because I told you I got started at 25 and I had some limiting beliefs that I couldn't really build a successful business at 25. I didn't think people would take me seriously. And so they gave me the name of this guy in Dallas, Texas, and he was 28 years old. He was only 3 years older than me. And I researched this guy and looked him up online. And this guy was selling hundreds and hundreds of houses every month. And he had a very, very small team. And so as I got to I validated everything. The dude had tons of listings online. He had about 8 to 10 people on his team. And they actually finally gave me his number to call him up to verify that this was legit. And I got him on the phone And he told me he was bringing in almost $2 million in commissions per year. And I was like, holy cow, like that was like the light bulb moment. Because as I got to know him, like what's kind of funny is like, he didn't graduate college. He had a lawn mowing business before getting into real estate. And I was like, man, if this guy can do this, there's no reason I can't. So that was a huge mindset shift. I was like, okay, not only can maybe I pay some bills, but I think if this guy can figure this out, I think I can do this. And that's when my mind shifted. And I was like, man, I want to be a millionaire and I want to make this happen before I turn 30 years old. And so I started doing the math, like, what's it cost to get $1 million in a year? I took $1 million divided by 365 days. And so I needed to make about $2,700 per day, which worked out based on our average sales price in Austin to about 2 closings per day. So for those of you guys on this call, like maybe y'all are hearing this number of 15,000 per day and you're like, oh, Chris has tons of real estate agents. Not the case, guys. I have 4 listing agents in Austin, Texas, and they bring in between 30 and 60 listings per month. That's per month. And then we have 12 buyer's agents that are bringing in about 40 buyer reps, and those are equaling to about 25 to 30 closings per month. And this is how we're generating 15,000 per day. So anyways, that's just a little bit of disclaimer, something I want to share with you guys. My goal is if you're on this webinar and you have a real estate team, my goal is to share some nuggets with you to try to accelerate your growth. And then for you guys that don't have a business yet, y'all are going to start learning some of the foundational components you can put in place right now and probably blow through any limiting beliefs you have. You can start putting some of these secrets in place. And by the way, the reason I'm doing this is because like I have pretty much perfected the operating systems of the team-centric model, and I'm looking for people to partner with across the country. And so this is the first time I've actually done this exact presentation. And so we have, a lot of people on this web class right now. I had, 60, 70 people register. And so, I know not all of you guys, there's going to be a win-win there, but I mean, who knows? And so at the worst case, you're going to learn a tremendous amount. If you're implementing the team-centric model, which in my opinion is the best way to go, it's going to hold the test of time for the next several decades. I identified there's basically 4 different phases to the growth curve. Okay. So like when you go from 0 to 150 closings, that's what I call the early climb. When you go from 150 to 300 closings, by the way, that can happen in one single year, 150, 300, you can get there in 1 year. That's called the awkward teenager stage. And then when you go from 300 to 500, I call that the explosive growth stage. And then the last phase is what I call the great escape. And this is where you start building out you actually start developing your leadership team in the explosive growth stage. And then you start planning your great escape so that you can exit the business and you're only involved in high-level leadership meetings 1 hour a week. Again, my name's Chris Waters. For those of you guys that have no clue who I am, a lot of people said I built the team model faster than anybody in the history of real estate. We were 4 years in a row recipients of the Inc. 5000's fastest growing privately held companies in America. There are 63 million small businesses in America, and they rank the top 5,000. And typically, to go 4 years in a row, it's very difficult because you have to have triple-digit growth. So that was a really cool thing we got. We've also, like, if you guys go look up the Wall Street Journal, our team in Austin, I think, is ranked number 29, which is pretty cool because Austin, Texas, it's home to Keller Williams, and Gary Keller wrote the book, The $1 Million Real Estate Team. Yet we're totally independent of Keller Williams or any big brand name. We have no alliance to any big brand name. We did this totally on our own. And, in the last 9 years, our team just in Austin has sold over 3,000 homes. And again, that's not with a bunch of real estate agents. It's a very lean, mean team. And we brought in over $25 million in commissions. And that's not selling these multi-million-dollar houses. This is selling your average $250,000 home in the suburb. So anyways, that's a little bit about me. For those of you guys that don't know me, a lot of people are like, Chris, how did you, get to this place? How did you do it in 3 years? And the truth is, guys, I became a learning machine. I literally read every book I could get my hands on. I was in a very humble place in my life because I had just had a business fail in 2009 after, the Great Recession. And I was in a very humble place, super, super humble place, and just got obsessed. I was reading every book I could. And then I started going out and like trying to do whatever it took to get in front of the best people in the industry. So I looked at that Wall Street Journal list of the top people across the country. I started studying like, who are the best of the best. And so like at the top right-hand corner, this is Mark Spain. He's actually number one on the Wall Street Journal. Sold over his team. He uses a team-centric model, sold over 2,500 homes. So like I spent years trying to get in front of this guy and finally did back in 2014 after cold calling him, Facebooking him, like all this stuff. And like, just, when I started to like tap into his knowledge, like everything started growing for me. Same with this bald-headed guy. The bald-headed guy, that's Gary Ashton. He's number one in the world. He did $500 million in sales just last year. Number one in the world for RE/MAX. And RE/MAX, if you guys don't know, they have over 6,000 offices. So number one in the world. And then this guy on the far right, this is kind of like the protege to Gary Keller at Keller Williams. A guy named Tim Heil became a really good friend of mine. He's actually here in Austin, Texas, which is really cool. And then this photo on the bottom, that's Tristan, who started Lab Coat Agents, the largest Facebook group for real estate agents, over 100,000 agents in there. And Tristan has a very successful luxury real estate team in Malibu, California. And then on my right is Ben Kinney, who started Brivity, also has a bunch of really successful real estate teams. So, between like diving into books head first and like connecting with a lot of really successful people, like I basically just learned to cheat off the smartest kid in class. And so I'm going to share some of those nuggets, some of the things I learned with you guys today. But my 3 secrets, like the 3 big rocks you guys should be walking away with, these are things y'all aren't going to hear about anywhere else. And these are things like I quietly shared with these guys to try to return the value and to help them grow. So our team in Austin, what a pretty amazing accomplishment. Again, we're not affiliated with Keller Williams. And again, KW wrote the book, The $1 Million Real Estate Team. And for 4 years in a row, we were ranked by the Austin Business Journal for having the number one team. And then I mentioned 4 years in a row, the Inc. 5000. And then I don't know if you guys know this guy on the left. This is Jay Abraham. Jay Abraham is like the godfather of the real estate coaching world. So when you think about all the coaches out there, Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, Craig Proctor, Corcoran, like all of them, like they all learn from this guy. Like Jay Abraham started helping all these coaching companies like back in the 70s and 80s. And so he awarded us Marketer of the Year. It was super awesome award. So the thing though is you guys are probably hearing all this and you're like, oh, Chris, that's awesome. You must be like super smart. But that's not the case. And most people don't believe me when I tell them in 2010, I was at a pretty humble place in my life. So this picture is a red IKEA couch, and this is the couch I was sleeping on. So the business I had failed. I lost every dollar to my name, went in massive debt. And my girlfriend at the time, I made a deal with her. I said I would help her move to a new apartment if she let me stay with her a couple weeks. Probably the coolest part of this story is like a couple weeks turned into 10 years. We ended up getting married. We have 2 beautiful girls now. But I took a picture of this. You can't really tell, but underneath this couch is a textbook. And I tried carrying this couch like by myself through the door, and I broke the 2 legs on it. And so when I'd go to sleep on this couch, I was like up at an incline. And that's my dog, Bentley. He and I slept on that couch for quite some time. And so anyways, when I started the team in 2010, I didn't have some fancy office. I didn't have tons of money. I couldn't get bank loans. And so like I literally started, doing deals and recruiting agents, working on this red IKEA couch. And this is a picture of my first real estate team on the right-hand side. So for you guys that are on this web class, I have no idea what like self-imposed limitations you have. But like, guys, you don't need some big fancy office. I have no idea how old you are. You can tell I have a baby face in that picture. I was 25 years old. And so in the summer of 2010, I actually recruited 20 agents to my team. But to be honest with you guys, like my team was a wreck. And when I scheduled this company photo shoot, I could only get these 7 people to show up. The other 13 agents didn't even show up. I'd love to tell you guys that like the first year was awesome, but the truth is the first year was a complete disaster. So I recruited 20 agents, and Out of those 20 agents, 18 of those 20 agents, 18 of them sold 18 houses. So the rest of the houses we sold were between me and one other guy. So two of us sold about 80, and the other 18 agents sold 18 homes. So the total number of homes we sold in our first year of business was 98 homes. And maybe that number sounds big to you guys, but the truth is I had 20 people, including me, and 18 of them sold 18 homes. So my results were pretty crappy, and I was feeling pretty down on myself, and I was hitting my head against the wall. And I started thinking, like maybe I'm not, meant to be a real estate team leader and be trying to lead other agents to success. And so again, another very humbling point in my life. And so you guys are probably wondering, well, how on earth did the next 2 years did you net $1 million? Because the first year I pretty much had to burn it all down. And so what really changed in my life was basically I got involved in paying for coaching. So that's when I got involved in my first coaching program. And I called the coach on the first coaching call. And I said to him, I said, man, I worked so hard. I gave agents all these leads. I gave them technology. I got 20 people on my team, and I'm looking at my tax return that my CPA sent over, and I only made $60,000, but yet I personally sold over 40 homes and brought in over 200 grand in commission, but my net income was only 60 grand. I'm like, dude, what am I doing wrong? I said, my real estate agents just suck. My real estate agents aren't closing any deals. And my team leader stopped me. He's like, my coach at the time stopped me. And he said, Chris, it's not that your agents suck. It's that you suck. You haven't learned, first off, the sales skills, and you haven't learned how to be a great team leader to lead other people to success. And then the third thing he shared with me, and this was probably the biggest light bulb moment for me, and the one that I'm going to share with you guys in a minute, is that the thing I was giving my agents were internet leads. I was giving my real estate agents internet leads from Google and Facebook. And he said, Chris, okay, a real estate agent, they can only work 30 to 50 internet leads per month, and leads from Google and Facebook are only going to close at a rate of maybe 1% or 2%, best case. So if you give them 50 leads in a month, best case, they're going to close one deal. And the other kicker is, and we're going to talk more about this with one of my secrets that I'm going to share with you guys, is that internet leads have a really long conversion cycle. And an agent can't wait 6 to 12 months to close a deal and make any money. And so I was like, oh my God, I spent all this money on leads, but it didn't do anything because the conversion rates were bad, and they were not that they're bad, they're just really, really low, and it takes forever to close them. And so I was like, what do I do? And so he started sharing with me some lead sources, and he started telling me about how important it is to diversify my number of lead sources. So what really changed for me after my first year building a team was massively diversifying my lead sources. And this is literally when everything started changing. So what I kind of discovered through coaching and my own trial and error is that, some lead sources have better conversion rates than others. And so another key thing I found was that, if I actually focused on building up my listing inventory and getting oil, I don't know about you guys, I'm in Texas, right? So we're big into drilling for oil here. So I like to call them listing side oil wells. I started learning about these listing side oil wells that would convert at really high rates. And then the other indirect benefit of having massive numbers of listings is they generated really hot buyer leads that converted at a very high rate, which helped add to the success of my agent. So anyways, that was a key tipping point, learning that I needed to diversify my lead sources and to start building my foundation from a lead generation perspective on the listing side, because they indirectly have babies that convert at a very high rate and will help your agents have more success. So one other key component to diversifying lead sources and building up a big listing inventory is developing a really sick listing presentation that converts at a really, really high rate. And then also understanding the sales process you take a consumer through when you meet them face to face. Anyways, we started developing this really cool listing presentation and this process when we met with people, and we started converting our listing leads at a rate of 33%, right? 33%. Okay, so the previous year, I would get 100 leads and 1 to 2 of those would close. And then I started developing these oil wells, and like I'd get 100 leads and we would close 33. That's like a 10x improvement. How freaking awesome is that, right? Like instead of working, 30 to 50 leads to close one deal, like you only have to work 3 leads to close one deal, right? That's like an amazing thing. And so not only was it diversifying oil wells and picking the right lead generation sources, but is also improving the listing presentation and understanding the process to take a consumer through when we meet them face to face. So this little baseball diamond's kind of like a visual. And so I kind of learned what I learned through going through a lot of sales coaching and spending hundreds of thousands is like there's kind of this universal philosophy to get consumers committed to working with you. And so it's broken down to like what you do: first base, second base, third base, and then asking for the business's home plate. And then the pitcher's mound, the thing on the pitcher's mound is that's the X factor that can throw anything out. And if you crush that, like you're going to win the listing no matter what. That's when your conversion rates go through the roof of like 60, 70, 80%. So I want to move on. So I think you guys have figured out, like I became just absolutely obsessed with the team-centric model, and ended up writing this book called The $1 Million Real Estate Team. I documented my journey in here. I talk about lead sources. And so anyways, long story short, I've done a lot of things right, but I've also done a ton of stuff wrong. So I'm going to share something with you guys. This is I don't know, maybe this will blow y'all's mind. It might make some of you guys mad. I don't know. But this image on the right-hand side, this is the organizational structure of my team with everybody's role in Austin, Texas. So let me tell you about the hard way, okay? And like I discovered this last year. So I had a friend of mine. He built a very successful real estate team, but he was always multiple steps behind me. Like he could never grow as fast as I could, but he and I were very similar. He was a super smart guy. He was a driver, hard worker. He worked his butt off, and like he could never grow as fast as I could. And last year I met with him, and like we started comparing our profit and loss statements. So like that's something you don't do with most people unless you have a lot of trust with them, right? So like, I really spent a lot of time with this guy trying to discover like, where the holes were, because I wanted to help him. And as I started comparing our P&Ls, like I looked at how much money I had saved compared to him, and it was in excess of $3.4 million. Like that's an insane amount of money, guys. Like I think we can all agree that's a lot of money, right? And so the thing is, like, that was over the course of 9 years. And so the thing that I did by accident, like I had no clue, like I wasn't even aware that I was doing this, but the thing I did by accident is I started an independent brokerage using the team model, not affiliated with any brand name, like by accident, because one of the challenges I had as I started building a team was like my brokerage was getting pissed off because of all these things I started doing. And I'm going to share those things with you that pissed them off when I talk to you about the 3 secrets. But anyway, so that's why I started my own brokerage, not knowing what the hell I was doing. And what I found out after 9 years, after I compared my P&Ls to somebody else, was like my savings by not being involved with, a brokerage and doing it on my own was over $3 million, like pretty substantial. So anyways, the hard way, and again, you guys don't have to follow this. Like y'all don't have to take my advice. You can build a team underneath an existing brokerage, and it's totally fine. Like you can have massive success. It just slows down your growth curve. Okay. So anyways, the hard way is trying to implement this organizational model underneath somebody else's umbrella. So anyways, let me move on. Again, I discovered this the hard way. And then you guys are going to get the cheat, by the way, and get to learn a bunch of stuff the easy way. So that's why we're going to dive into these 3 secrets. Okay, so here it is, guys. Here are the 3 secrets. So secret number 1 is how to generate leads and close them at a rate of 30% or greater without buying internet leads, closing at a measly 1 to 2%. Now, secret number 2, we're going to talk about how to get local businesses to pay for your lead generation. So if you're on this web class, you're like, oh, Chris, I already know about this. You go and get lenders and like people like that to pay. Well, something crazy that happened to me was like, I thought about that. I was like, okay, so you can get like lenders and some of these people to pay, but like how many people would be willing to pay? And there's actually 26 like non-competing businesses in your local market right now that would be willing to contribute to your marketing kit to help you grow faster. So we're going to talk about that. And then secret number 3, here's the deal. If you start generating leads and you've got the money to pay for lead generation, you've got to hire amazing salespeople, right? And so I'm going to show you guys how to find amazing salespeople that can sell 100 homes a year without the risk of them leaving you and asking for an unfavorable commission split. So that's really, really key. Because I'll tell you what, like when you start getting agents to sell that many homes, everybody in your community is going to try stealing them. Now, here's something really quick. I'm going to give you guys a little nugget. This is like, I was going to wait until the end to share this with you guys. But like I tell people this, like when I do this like when I've done web classes like this, and I tell them that I have multiple agents, like every year, multiple agents selling over 100 homes a year, they call bullshit. They're like, Chris, no freaking way you have multiple agents consistently on your team selling 100 homes. And so I just want to like put the proof behind the pudding. And so a little gift I'm going to give you guys, and I'll talk about it at the end of the web class, is like I will literally invite you guys to come down to our headquarters in Austin, Texas. Y'all can like see the operation. You can meet these people and you can ask them, how many houses did you sell? You can ask like other staff, like just random. You can be like real quiet about it. Hey, how many houses you, Chris said y'all sold 100. Is that real? Is that true? So anyways, a lot of people don't believe me when I tell them this, but like this is how you get a small team to sell a lot of houses, by creating massive efficiency. So we're going to talk about how to get those types of people. Okay, so let's dive into secret number 1, how to generate leads and close them at a rate of 30% or greater. So believe it or not, we have some lead sources that are closing at 45, 50, and 60%. Think about that. Like you get a lead, first name, last name, email, etc., and like 1 out of 2 of them is closing versus 1 to 2% per 100 close. Okay, so one thing I want to share with you guys, this is something I read in a book called Awaken the Giant Within back in 2010. And every time I do one of these classes, every single time I do one of these classes, no matter what I'm doing, you know, to try to give back to the real estate community and help people grow, everybody always comes up to me at the end of the class and they're always like, hey, Chris, what do you think about this little tweak? Or what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And I ask the person about their business. I say, how many homes are you selling? What are you doing? And I realize, and what I find out when I ask them that question is they've only sold like 10, 15, 20, 30 houses. So they don't even have that big of a business. And it's not a bad thing, like only, you know, selling 20 or 30 homes. It's just, you know, when you only sell 20 or 30 homes a year, you have a ceiling on how much revenue you have. And so you have a limitation on how much you can experiment. And so when you're in the beginning phase of building your business, you want to model other people that have already succeeded. So this is one of my favorite quotes from Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins. Something else I think that's really, really interesting is every time I meet somebody that, you know, goes and tries to like test and innovate, they always end up being like this guy in this photo where they have all these arrows in their back and they're laying face down in the dirt. And when I say face down in the dirt, what I mean by that is they're just not making that much money yet. They're not making that much money yet. And I heard Damon John on Shark Tank say, pioneers get slaughtered and settlers prosper. You guys should write that down. Pioneers get slaughtered and settlers prosper. So what's really important is you guys remember that the real estate industry has been around forever. The real estate industry has been around for 5, 6, 7 decades. And there's lots of people that have come before us. So try to build a strong foundation using other people's strategies and techniques to take away the uncertainty so you don't have to test. And then once you have a ton of revenue, you're bringing in $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million per year. That's when you guys can go invest a ton of money. Okay, so step 1, let's talk about lead sources. So these are this is a small sample of lead sources. Okay, so these are a small sample of lead sources, and I rank these from worst case to best case. Okay, so Facebook, for example, it's going to convert at 1%, possibly 2%. Now, the one exception is in Facebook, you can add additional data layers within the ads campaign builder, but then your cost per lead skyrockets, but that's the only way to improve conversions. Now, Google, on average, is 1 to 2%. Now, there is one secret Google AdWords campaign I built that converted in excess of 10%, but 90% plus of all AdWord campaigns are going to convert at 1 to 2%. And the Google AdWord campaign, by the way, that converts in excess of 10% is specifically on the seller side, and they are not. They are not home valuation leads, okay? That's not what they are. Okay, the third lead source is Zillow. So Zillow, for example, typically converts at about 4%. Now, Zillow released a new product called Zillow Connect, where they scrub the leads for you. Now, those convert a little bit better, but they're typically, those Zillow Connect leads are at about 10%, which is pretty good, but you're paying hundreds of dollars per Zillow Connect. Now, the fourth thing is probate and divorce. There are very specific marketing campaigns you can run targeting people that would be, potentially in a place to need to sell their home, and these convert in excess of 10%. Open houses, by the way, I love open houses. For every eight people, like for every 8 families that walk into a home, you should be able to close 1 buyer. So that means you've got a 12.5% conversion rate, which is pretty good. Your next highest converting lead source are sign calls. Sign calls are amazing. By the way, if you guys are doubting me around these conversion rates, it's probably because you haven't figured out the scripts, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Now, distressed seller campaigns, these convert way in excess of 10%. Farming, doing direct mail farming, going after a neighborhood, community, zip code, etc., convert very, very high. Farming actually converts north of 30%. Farming campaigns is where you're going to get a conversion rate north of 30%. Radio, TV, and billboard convert north of 30%. So here's the thing, guys. I don't have a ton of time to go through this. There's obviously tons and tons of lead sources. I wanted to give you guys a small taste, but I want you guys to take a moment and think about this and think about how much more efficient you would be with your day if you were focused on lead sources that converted at a much higher conversion rate. Think about how much more you would get done with less time. So anyways, if you guys are on this web class and you've got a team and you're buying leads through one of these top 3 like Facebook, Google, Zillow, I'm just telling you, you're not setting your teams up for success. This should be a very, very small percentage of the oil wells that they are working. Okay, so step 2 to getting north of 30% conversion rates is understanding that there are different scripts depending on what the lead source is. So for example, we use something called the LP Mama script, which we learned through a coaching program, through Corcoran Coaching for sign calls. And this is what's helping us convert sign calls at a rate of 12%. We have a script for working internet leads, and we also have an automated marketing campaign that includes direct mail, email, voicemail drops, and texting that helps attribute us to getting 10% or greater conversion rates with internet leads. Now, again, there's only one specific internet lead source that I know of that will convert in excess of 10%. Most of them are at 1 to 2%. Now, the other one are scripts for open houses. Like if you do open houses and you have 8 families come in and you're not converting somebody, it means you haven't figured out the carrots. And so when I say carrots, these are the value propositions you develop to convince somebody to get committed to working with you. And then do you know all the objection handlers? So buyers and sellers, whether they're a buyer or seller, there's about 6 to 7 common objections you're going to get from buyers and 6 to 7 from sellers. Once you've figured out how to overcome those by using carrots, that's where you see the high conversion rate. Now, the next key component to building a successful team is obviously you need to know where do you spend time coaching your agents, right? So when you think about the funnel to convert leads, at the top of it is how much effort are they applying to actually make dials and connect with people. And then once they get on the phone with people, how many of those are converting into face-to-face appointments? And then out of those face-to-face appointments, how many are converting into actual contracts, right? So this is a glimpse into the funnel. And so your job as a team leader, and again, I failed at this massively until someone explained this to me, but your job as a coach is to figure out where are the holes in that salesperson's funnel so you can coach them in the appropriate area of the funnel to help them overcome whatever the challenge is and get them to get killer conversion rates. And so you have to have reporting cards and accountability tools in place to be able to crush this. Here's step 3, guys. This is a game changer. The biggest mistake I personally made when I was building a team was I would start spending money on lead generation. So for example, for those of you guys that have read the book, I talk about doing a farming campaign. And so when I started doing farming, I quit at month 6. Like I spent $250,000 on farming in my first 6 months, and I went way too big, way too aggressive. Like I was super, trying to blow the business up, and I went way too big, and I burned through all my cash. And I talk about that in the book. And so what I learned about farming is if you're going to do farming, it's got a 12-month conversion cycle. And what I mean by that is it takes a certain number of brand impressions over a certain amount of time before you start getting your money back. And so every single lead source has a very specific conversion cycle. And so if you don't understand what that conversion cycle is, you may likely quit advertising on that lead source too early. So for example, Google and Facebook, they have a 6 to 12 month conversion cycle to optimize that 1 to 2% conversion. I think everybody probably has heard that before. So a lot of people ask me, like, what should I do first? Okay. So something I learned after going through that growth curve is that there's what I like to call the low hanging fruit. And each phase of the growth curve has low hanging fruit. Okay. So when you guys are asking me like, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? Well, I can't answer that question unless I know where you are in the growth curve. Are you selling 50 homes, or are you selling 200 or 500? Every phase of the growth curve has low-hanging fruit that you got to go after. And if you go after the low-hanging fruit, you're like a rocket ship and you're going to grow super, super fast. So I'm going to share some like broad philosophies that I have. So for example, for those of you guys that are in the early climb, meaning you're doing less than 150 closings, you should be going after lead sources that convert in excess of 10%. So if you buy 100 leads, 10% of them should close into deals, okay? And here's the other kicker. Those leads need to close in 90 days or less. This is really important in the early climb because if your agents are working lead sources that don't close in less than 3 months, they're likely going to run out of money and they're going to leave you, or they get demoralized because they don't make enough money. So you got to focus on those lead sources in the early climb. Now, the awkward teenager stage, once you've had a foundation of lead sources built that close at 10% in less than 90 days, then you can start getting, start spending a little bit more money. You can add lead sources that convert over 30% and have a 180-day conversion cycle. But you don't want to do that until you get to 150 closings. And then once you get into the explosive growth stage, which is north of 300, then you can start investing in some really advanced strategies that will convert over 30%, but they take up to a year to build. So if you want to think about like these people I shared with you earlier, how did they get to selling 2,000, 3,000 homes using the team-centric model and not having hundreds and hundreds of agents? And the way they did it was they layered on their lead generation. And again, think about it like oil wells, right? They layered in all these oil wells as their business grew. So in the beginning stage, you want to start with the lesser expensive oil wells that convert in excess of 10%. Do not go after those 1 to 2% leads. That should be like a tiny, minute portion of your lead generation strategy. Here's my big don't do list, by the way. Do not focus on SEO. I made this mistake in 2010, and then Google, their algorithm changed, and my website went from number 1 to like the second page. And overnight, I went from like 500 leads to less than 100 per month. There's no bueno. Plus SEO leads, my leads were closing at a very low conversion rate. The other thing is if you're in the early climb, I made the mistake of buying like this really expensive technology platform that was $1,500 a month. And $1,500, I don't know about you guys, maybe that does or does not seem like a lot of money, but over the course of a year, 1,500 times 12 months is 18 grand. And I could have used that money much better and gotten much better results for agents and my team. The other thing is you want to make sure you do not buy expensive leads in the early climb. And I personally made this mistake. Don't invest in farming, radio, TV, billboard, like direct mail, like that stuff. You're not ready to do that stuff until you get out of the early climb. The other thing is on the buy side of your business, if you have buyer specialists or buyer agents, it's really important you have multiple oil wells that they need to be working. So ideally like 4 or greater oil wells that they get leads from that convert over 10%. in the early climb. And again, do not focus only on online buyer lead generation. It should be a tiny percentage of what you do. Number 6, I'm a huge fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. I've read all of his books, Crushing It, Jab, 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 Right Hook. And the thing about the content game is it's a very long play. So if you guys follow Gary V, he's been recording videos on YouTube for a decade. And so if you guys want to grow really fast, you can't start on the content game until you knock down those lead sources that will deliver leads and closings in less than 90 days. And the content game will not deliver tons of closings at a huge volume in less than 90 days. The content game is a 2, 3, 4, 5-year strategy. So there's a Mark Twain quote I love to share with people. I probably shared a lot of stuff with you guys that maybe you don't like. Maybe you're like, no, that's not true, whatever. And so there's a quote I want to share with you. It's something that's like been ingrained in my head. It's by Mark Twain. It says, it's not the fear of what you don't know. It's the fear of what you know that's not so. So just as an example, guys, I started a farming campaign, and I thought farming didn't work. And then I met kind of the foremost national expert on direct mail. And he said, Chris, you did it all wrong. All wrong. He said, you've got to give it 12 months minimum. By the way, here's the frequency and here's the messaging. So I did it all wrong. But once I learned the way, then I was like, oh, light bulb moment. And that Mark Twain quote just spoke to me. So I started sharing this, by the way, these oil wells and like the really fast converting ones. When I had a guy that was kind of like my guinea pig, and his name was Desmond Graham. He lost his huge builder account in this small military town. And this builder was, helping him close 75 homes a year. And Des started implementing this to the T. The guy was like an implementation ninja. I started telling him about using diversified lead sources to get listings. I got a text from Des last month on my phone that he closed 38 deals in June, and he had 32 closings in July. So anyways, I don't know where you guys are at. I have you guys on this web class. I don't know how many deals you're selling, but maybe you think, for example, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to be able to get to hundreds of houses. And I promise you, you're just a couple nuggets away, like some small tweaks to your business, to being able to grow and probably blow past whatever self-imposed limitations or ceilings you thought existed. Okay, so again, this whole idea of these lead sources, this works whether you're a single agent, you've got an existing team, a brokerage, maybe you're a wholesaler, flipper. Being mindful of these steps that I just outlined are super important to your success. So the other thing is this is super confidential. I have something I like to call my ultimate lead generation and technology stack. So these are all the oil wells that I'm using currently on my team and all the technology programs I'm using. Just so y'all know, I will never, ever collect a referral fee for recommending a product. So if there's a product I recommend to you and they pay an affiliate bonus, I tell these companies, give the affiliate bonus to the people that are coming to you, because I don't care about all that stuff. So in the book, everything I talk about is stuff that I'm actually using, and I'm not trying to make money on all these affiliate programs. That's not the business. I'm super busy as it is with our brokerage and expansion. So one of the key questions I get every time I do this sales presentation is, how do I know how much money these lead sources are going to bring in? And how can I check to see if these lead sources work, right? So something you guys can do that's pretty cool is go study your competitors and find out what your competitors are doing to get business. And so, for example, expireds and direct mail farming campaigns, you guys can go in the MLS right now and y'all can go see what your competitors are doing. Go research who are the top teams. Go find out what they're doing. Look at their listing inventory and study it. See if there are any patterns. Something else you can do is use a program called Broker Metrics. This is another cool way to get some insight into your competition to see if things are actually working, okay? So another common question I get when I do this is, Chris, how do I know which lead source to implement and if I'm in a good place to implement it? I think I've answered that question. It's important you pay attention to where you are in the growth curve, right? So early climb, there's very specific lead sources, awkward teenager, etc. So be very mindful of where you are in your business. Okay, secret number 2, how do you get local businesses to pay for your lead generation? How many people feel like they could grow their business massively if they had an extra $5, $10, $15,000 per month coming from outside vendors, helping you contribute to lead generation. So I'm going to tell you guys what we used to do. So what I used to do is I took 10% of every commission dollar and I reinvested it back into expansion. What I mean by expansion is we would test email marketing, inside sales, radio copy, billboards, Facebook, Google, on and on and on and on. And so my growth was completely limited to how much I reinvested back into my business. And so that really pissed me off because I couldn't grow faster. And so there was a new way. And this is something I found by accident. And like I said, this is stuff hopefully you guys have never heard before. So the new way was me implementing something I call our brand ambassador program. So something I realized as we were doing real estate transactions is we recommended a lot of people. And I read this study back in 2011 that like totally blew my mind. The National Association of Realtors, they posted a study that said when a house sells, it's an $86,000 economic impact. Like that's how much money gets injected into the U.S. economy when a house sells. And that does not include the down payment they put on their house, okay? So in my mind, I was like, $86,000, how is that possible? Like, how on earth is that possible? Because the average house is not like $1 million, right? So like, it's not all commissions. It's not all the lender. I was like, where's all this money coming from? So I went down this rabbit hole, and this is how I discovered the 26 different local businesses that get a benefit from a house selling. And I started just cold calling and like doing some testing. And like, sure enough, I found 26 different companies that agreed to pay me money, and I did not pay them for referrals. So that's a key thing here, guys. I was not getting paid for referrals. I was paid for them to be a part of my brand ambassador program. And what that means is basically myself and my team members were ambassadors for their business. So we integrated their company information into our marketing material. We created a monthly mastermind where I brought all these business owners together, and we all collectively worked together to try to help each other in various areas. And these are non-competing businesses, by the way. So it wasn't like I had 10 different mortgage companies. I had one mortgage company, one moving company, one home warranty company, one insurance company, one landscape company, one roofing company, one cabinet company, etc. And I developed multiple tiers to my brand ambassador program. So there were different levels in terms of like how much these local businesses invested into my brand ambassador program. And so anyways, this is kind of a sample of what it looks like. So this document on the right here, this is actually the marketing agreement that I would get people to sign. And I don't know if y'all can see my mouse moving, but this section here is where I outlined the very specific things that we were going to do for the people we were an ambassador for. So for example, we invite them to our client appreciation events. We have them come do educational classes for our agents. We put them on our website, like plethora of things. And so this document over here, this is actually the package I put together. And we had 3 different tiers based on the business. And then the other key component was the mastermind we did once a month where I got all these other local businesses together. Okay, all right, so here's what we used to have to do. I'll just repeat myself real quickly. Here's what we used to have to do. The new way is the brand ambassador program where we're ambassadors for other companies. The monthly mastermind, we had different advertising programs, different tiers. And then this is like an example of the presentation we put together. And then this is a copy of the document we used. We got people to sign. And then the third component was the mastermind. So basically, guys, there's 3 essential requirements to quickly build a successful real estate brokerage. Number 1 is you got to learn how to be a better CEO, not a better real estate agent. So like when I went through all this coaching, what I realized is they were all trying to keep me on the hamster wheel to be a better real estate agent. They weren't teaching me how to be strategic and learn about going after really high level lead sources, implementing a brand ambassador program to pay for everything. Like this wasn't stuff the coaching industry was teaching me. So essential thing you got to do first is start thinking like a CEO, not a real estate agent. How do you improve your business model, get more financially sound? How do you hack the growth curve, right? So like that's number 1. Number 2, the essential requirement is that you implement a brand ambassador program. And then the third essential requirement is you start a team-centric brokerage. So again, you guys don't have to do any of these things, but it's just going to slow down your growth curve. So I have lots of friends that don't do this stuff. but they haven't grown as fast as I have. So if you guys want to end up on the Inc. 5000 list, these are the 3 things you got to do. Okay, let's talk about secret number 3. I'm going to try going through this really quickly because we're short on time. How do you hire amazing salespeople that'll sell 100 plus homes a year without the risk of them leaving and like wanting these crazy unfavorable commission splits where you have to give them all the commission? So that's secret number 3, okay? The thing that every single one of these companies has in common is they have a very high barrier to entry. A very high barrier to entry, okay? So I don't want to get too political here, but I thought this post was hilarious. I live in Texas, and they're talking about putting a big wall in Texas, so I think that's funny. And so the thing is like, you have to think about barriers, okay? So a lot of people that try building a business, the barrier they put up is at the actual interview, right? So like somebody calls to come work for you, you do an interview, and maybe you do multiple interviews, right? And then like you hire them, right? And then like you give them everything they need to have success, but you stop the interview process right then and there after you hired them. And so the one thing that all of these companies have in common is, number one, it's super hard to get a job there, but the interview process actually continues after you start working there. So what I mean by that is, like, for example, if you guys went to MIT or Harvard in your first semester at Harvard or MIT or Stanford, they could kick your ass out of that college if your GPA falls below a certain standard. Same with Google, Salesforce, Microsoft, Facebook, all these companies. They have very specific milestones and very specific things they look for in month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4. Anybody seen like Discovery Channel, like where they do these documentaries on like Navy SEALs and Special Forces? And like, you know, they take like 200 Navy SEALs and they take them through 6 months of like hell, basically. And then like less than 10% actually become Navy SEALs. Well, every single successful company, like Fortune 500 company, the thing that I discovered by accident is every single one of these companies has adopted this process. They adopted this process where you don't stop the interview after you hire them. There's actually a vetting process with very specific milestones. And those milestones, by the way, guess what? Are not production measurements. So for example, like don't go out there and start trying to choose real estate agents based off how many deals they close in month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So every single one of those companies, it's not production based. They are totally different milestones. And I'm not going to get into those now. But the key nugget I want y'all to take away is if you're implementing the team-centric model, you need real estate agents that are like the Navy SEALs, And you're going to have to build up a bunch of people from a funnel perspective at the top that you meet with face-to-face. That you're going to have to meet a ton of people, and then you're going to have to test out a ton of people, and then you'll find your 1 out of 5 that's like the Navy SEAL, okay? So that's why barriers are so important. I have a copy of my funnel that I use. This is the same funnel that we give to all my partners that I work with across the country. And this is what I like to call the ultimate recruiting and vetting funnel. And the juice, guys, the juice is really towards the bottom here at what I call the extended interview. And in the extended interview, this is where we look for very specific things once they actually join the team. And they are not production specific. But if people hit these milestones in month 1, 2, and 3, I know these agents are going to go and sell 100 plus homes a year for my team, and I'm never going to have to hear them complain about commission splits. We talked about generating leads, being conscious of lead conversion rates, how important it is not to fall in that trap of buying internet leads that are going to close at 1% to 2% because it's not setting your people up for success. Number 2, there's 26 different local businesses that can pay for lead generation. Number 3, to get amazing salespeople, you have to have barriers in place that don't stop at the interview. That vetting process continues after they get into your organization, and there's key milestones for people for you guys to use specific to real estate in month 1, 2, and 3. So how many people feel like this? We've been on here for about an hour now. How many people feel like it's just like a water hose? Like, this is so much information. Has this been helpful? Have you guys learned a lot? Has it been super helpful? Did I like maybe open up some people's horizons and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing? Or maybe you guys are like, this sucks, I didn't learn anything. Just curious. So I think, so hopefully everybody agrees the past hour, it's been well spent. Again, I can't cover everything in an hour. Even if we had all day, I couldn't go into all this stuff like super, super deep. But I put something special together, like a special offer to help people. So I'll spend like 15 minutes sharing something with you for you guys that I put together. The thing that I realized like a huge hole in the real estate industry is that all these coaching companies are trying to make real estate agents better salespeople. And you end up on this hamster wheel, and they don't actually help people think like CEOs, like the brand ambassador program, like how to strategically, implement the right lead sources based off where you are in your business curve. The recruiting, selection, and vetting process, like how do you build this like huge pool of potential people to talk to? And then like, how do you know which ones are going to work or not? Like nobody teaches you these things around how to be a great leader and CEO. So I put together something, this small deal, and it's a 90-day program, 3 months long, where I dive into all this stuff that I've talked about, like at a very, very granular level to help you implement this stuff. So here's what you guys are going to get. So my first class that I do is on agent training, right? So like, what do you have to build in order to get your agents to be conversion ninjas? So what I mean by that is I'm going to show you guys samples of my agent ramp up training program. And I'm going to show you all the assets you need to build so that you have this like basically like your own internal university to train agents to become like Navy SEALs. Now, the second thing is like, how do you make sure you build a strong foundation from a financial perspective? So in the second class, we're going to talk about your commission splits, like how to set up your commission splits so that you don't ever have to change them. And I've made that mistake, oh my God, so many times. It's so frustrating. So I'm going to show you the financial model, how to set up your splits in the second class. I'm also going to show you what all you have to get created if you want to go and like start your own independent deal and not be underneath somebody else. But a lot of this is going to be around like getting your financial model in place. Now, the third thing I'm going to go through is the best systems to use to maximize your return on investment of each system. And here's the hint, guys. The hint is integration is key. When you're building a team, you can't have your team logging into multiple systems. So just as an example, we use this integration tool called realsync.com. That's the only company I personally like invest in. I don't get any affiliate money, but like I bought stock in this company because I wanted to have say around how this works, because now my agents don't have to log into multiple platforms. So we have an ecosystem of technology tools. I showed you guys that document earlier, the ultimate lead generation and technology stack. I'm going to give that to you, show you exactly what we're using, how we're using it, and how to maximize return on investment. Each one of these classes, it's an hour long. And we do these classes every other week. And at the end of me teaching the class, there's 30 minutes of Q&A. Consider this like a private coaching session. If you guys go to my website, chriswatershq.com, I only work with 5 people at a time, like private coaching clients, and I get paid $2,500 an hour. That's my like going rate. And so you guys can consider this like a 30-minute Q&A. It's kind of like a private coaching thing. You guys can ask me anything you want about your business, and I'll be totally transparent with you and give you everything I can. Now, the fourth class, this is where we dive super deep into the exact systems, the exact lead generation, the things you gotta put in place to make sure you're getting, lead sources that are going to set you up for success. And then the most important thing is measuring client acquisition cost. And so I'm going to share with you guys how to track that. And then also I'm going to share with you how to put the brand ambassador program in place. So I'll give you my actual brand ambassador program. I'll give you the agreement. I'll give you my mastermind agenda, all that stuff. I'll give it all to you guys in this class. And this is how you get your client acquisition costs down so you can grow like 300-400% a year and end up on the Inc. 5000 list. Now, the fifth class, this is where we dive super deep into the recruiting funnel. I'll give you guys the recruiting funnel. I'll give you all my scripts to recruit agents. I'll show you how to get a huge pool of them. I'll show you what to ask when you're face-to-face with people. And I'll tell you what the key milestones are that you have to look for in month 1, month 2, and month 3. Now, the sixth class, again, these are live classes. And one other cool little thing I'm going to tell you guys is Bradley Pounds, who's the co-author of the book with me. Brad is going to be teaching these classes with me. Okay, so he's going to be on too. Brad was one of my first buyer's agents I hired back in 2011. And so Brad became president of the company, and he helped me plan my great escape. Okay, so like he's going to be on there. You guys can ask him any questions you want. It's going to be super cool. But the 6th class is going to be about accountability systems. And I'm going to show you the exact business intelligence software we use to be able to track what our agents are doing. So for example, it's super important as a team leader that you guys know where agents need help from a coaching perspective. And agents sometimes don't even know how to help themselves. So we use some software that tracks every single thing a real estate agent does on their cell phone and in the CRM. And we don't collect this information manually. And this is what I had to do years ago. Years ago, I used to get all the information by people filling out these little report cards. But now we have software that collects all that information for us. By the way, I get a 20% affiliate commission on that. I'm going to give that back to you. So if you guys go through my CEO Masterclass, like any affiliates or commissions or whatever, I'm going to tell these companies to give it to you, like pass the discounts to you, because I will never collect money from any of these vendors. And the only vendors I recommend are vendors that I'm personally using. And I told you guys at the beginning, a lot of people are like, Chris, I just don't know if I can believe all this. Well, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to come down to Austin. Y'all can see behind the scenes. You can meet all the key people, my listing agents, my operations staff, etc. So anyways, it's going to be an amazing class. For those of you guys that like want to get started like right now, if you guys remember, I told you when I wrote this book, it started off as 1,000 pages. And so obviously I had to, dial it back to 220 some odd pages. So in order to get like everything I wanted to get out there to help people build teams, I created this thing called Brokerage Hacking Academy. And I have 24 course modules that I created, okay? 24 course modules with 8 hours of content. And it's basically all the stuff that I couldn't fit in the book. And so if you guys sign up for my CEO Masterclass, you'll get access to Brokerage Hacking Academy right now. And this is stuff you can listen to on your phone. You can listen to it while you're driving, you're at the gym, whatever. And by the way, the CEO Masterclass is going to be recorded. The whole thing will be recorded along with the slide decks, and it'll all be uploaded to Brokerage Hacking Academy. It's kind of like an online learning platform to help you grow super, super fast. Now, I mentioned a ton of downloadable tools. Like you guys are going to get all that stuff. I'm just going to like literally just give it all to you in a silver platter so you guys can copy and paste this and start implementing it in your business. So here's what you guys are going to get: my 90-day CEO Masterclass, Brokerage Hacking Academy, all my downloadable tools, almost $6,500 in value. So here's the thing. I started sharing this with the guy. It was kind of like another guinea pig, if you will. I started taking him through all this. A guy named Chad Brady. He moved from Kansas to San Antonio. He was starting from ground zero. Chad started implementing this stuff that I talk about in my CEO Masterclass and Brokerage Hacking Academy. Chad is doing 25 closings per month, and he got there in 18 months. So like, I'm telling you, this stuff is going to change your life, guys. I also shared this with a woman named Lori Horner in Amarillo, Texas, small panhandle of Texas. So I've worked with people in small towns, medium-sized towns, big towns. Lori was an amazing story. She had 4 kids. 2 of them had special needs. Lori could not get past 30 transactions a year. Took her through my CEO Masterclass, all the strategies and tactics, got her lead generation optimized. In her first year, she grew 300%. And I got a text message of her on stage in Amarillo, Texas, getting awarded the #1 real estate team in the panhandle of Texas. So that may not seem like a big deal, but it's a super small town. I posted some really cool testimonials from Facebook. This guy named Mark Brooks, he was another guinea pig I took through this program. And then I don't know if y'all noticed this timestamp, but this is from Facebook, January 11th. And this is a screenshot of Mark's Boomtown account. And Mark went through my program 1 year ago. And on January 11th, you can see this screenshot from Boomtown. He closed 35 transactions in the first 11 days of starting his team. So anyways, guys, you guys are literally just a few nuggets of knowledge away from being able to leapfrog your growth and probably grow beyond what you ever imagined. So I had 2 options. I could put this together and do something really inexpensive, or I could put something together and like make it a little bit higher of an investment, but like devote a ton of resources and like guarantee y'all success. So again, just to recap, here's what you're going to get: 90-day CEO Masterclass, Brokerage Academy. You can access online. All the recordings are put on there. All the tools and templates I talked about in the sales presentation today. And here's something else I'm going to give you as a bonus: my ultimate lead generation and technology stack. I'm only going to give this to the first 25 people that sign up. And then you guys are also going to get a Discovery Day pass to Austin, meet everybody on my team in Austin, see behind the scenes, meet listing agents that are selling over 100 homes a year. You'll meet my inside sales agent. My ISAs are setting between 90 and 110 appointments per month, 90 to 110 per month. And I'm going to show you guys how you can find people like that and how to emulate the results they're getting. So again, here's all the stuff I'm going to give away. It's like massive value, and I'm going to do it like I'm going to give you guys an irresistible offer. So my question to you guys is like, if you guys went through all this and I like gave all this to you, and like worst case, I don't know, like maybe like you only figured out how to get $1,000 a month through my brand ambassador program. What would that be worth to you? Or what if, I teach you like the processes in the funnel to develop and find rock star agents. And let's say they only sell a quarter of what my agents in Austin do. Let's say they only sell a quarter of what they do. How much is that worth to you guys if you could recruit one agent that adds 25 transactions to your team? What is that worth? And then what if y'all got to a point where you could build a business up and you could delegate all the things you hate and just focus on what you love? What is that worth to you? Because I'm going to make like a sick offer to you guys that's irresistible for you guys to go through this. So I guess the key thing I'm asking everybody is like, ultimately, what's freedom worth to you? Like getting one vendor, getting one agent on your team. Like, what would you pay to learn these things? $5,000, $10,000, 25,000 more. Like, how much is it worth? Like, how much is it worth to get your time and life back? So I think you guys can kind of understand, like, this is a massive amount of value. And if y'all went to my website right now, this is 10 grand worth of stuff y'all can get. But I told you, I'm going to make this like irresistible, insane offer for you guys. It's not $5,000, not $4,000, not $3,000, not $2,000. Again, that for the whole program, for the whole thing, it's not $5,000, $4,000, $3,000, $2,000. It's only 3 payments of $497. So if you guys want to sign up and go through all of these, go through my Brokerage Hacking Academy, CEO Masterclass, like come down to Austin, spend the day with me, meet all the key people, all these things I'm going to give you, 3 payments of $497 over the 90 days. And you guys can go to brokeragehacks.com/masterclass to get started. And lots of people always ask me, they're like, Chris, why are you doing this for such a low cost? So the truth is, guys, like I'm not doing this to make money. The $1,500 actually covers the cost of Bradley, because Bradley Pounds, my co-author, he's a salaried employee. And I have him on this course with me, helping deliver all this information to you. So most of that money goes to him. So the reason I'm doing this at such a low cost for you guys to basically just help you grow your business is because I'm looking for people to partner with. Now, you can go through this program and we don't have to partner, and you can take all this information and still crush it and build an amazing business, which is super cool. But like maybe 1 out of 100 of you guys, like maybe it would be a good fit for us to work together, and maybe we can partner and I can help you build your team in your respective market and do something longer term. So, if that sounds interesting, cool. But I'm going to do this super cheap because I want to find people that are interested in partnering with. So you guys can like take advantage of me and get all this stuff for cheap, super cheap. And we may not even work together long term, but who knows? Who knows what the future holds? So there's one more bonus I'm going to give out to you guys. I'm going to actually throw a private dinner at my house in Austin, Texas. It's actually a picture of my house, my backyard. It's my daughter. That's my 3-year-old daughter, Eva. And you guys can meet my wife. She's the one that let me sleep on her red IKEA couch back in the day. You guys can ask her about the story and like how rough things were in the beginning, just to like validate this is all legit, if you will. And again, so you guys have another option where you pay the $497 for 3 payments. Go to brokeragehacks.com/masterclass. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but I can only have 5 people. So like I do this once a month. Like I'll do a private dinner at my house once a month with like my expansion partners, and then sometimes people that have gone through my CEO Masterclass. And so I can only have 5 people in there at one time. So for the first 5 people that sign up for my Brokerage Hacks Masterclass, you guys will be invited to the having the private dinner at my house. Okay, so you guys, first option, you guys don't have to do anything, which is like 100% risk-free. And then second option, you could pony up a small investment. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'll give you your money back. Okay, so like that's my guarantee. My guarantee is like there's no risk to you guys. You could sign up to go through this. And in the first 30 days, if you're like, Chris, this is total garbage, I haven't learned anything, like I want my money back, I'll give it to you. Like send me a notification, day 29, 23 hours in, 59 minutes, and I'll give you your money back. So it only costs $497 to get started. And at least you'll get a month of free content. If you like really want to take advantage of me, you can just ask for a refund after the first month and at least get a month of free information. I think like you're going to get your return on investment back like by 10, 20, 100 times. So it'd be probably worthwhile for you to go through the whole thing. But I think the real question is it worth a few minutes of your time to check this out? And if it does just half of what I've claimed on this webinar today, I think you guys can all agree it's going to pay for itself in less than 30 days. Otherwise, you can take me up on my refund. I'll give you your money back. So again, check out brokeragehacks.com/masterclass. There's one thing I want to share with you guys. I'm a huge fan of Robert Kiyosaki. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen this quadrant in this picture here, but this is the quadrant from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And something I learned after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars going through every coaching imaginable is that every single coaching program is trying to keep you in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to tell you guys right now what the biggest myth in real estate is. The biggest myth in real estate is that you, as a real estate agent, you think you're a business owner, but it is not the case. As a real estate agent, you own a job. So this bottom left quadrant from the Robert Kiyosaki Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. So Robert Kiyosaki says in the book, to get to the right side, to be a business owner or investor, you have to stop trading your time for money. So in the CEO Masterclass, I'm going to show you guys the exact path to transition from being self-employed, owning a job, being a producing agent, to being a business owner where you no longer have to trade your time for your money. So this is an opportunity for you guys that you're not going to get anywhere else, because every single coaching company out there is trying to keep you on the hamster wheel of closing deals. And I'm not in the coaching business. I put together this CEO Masterclass to like blow your socks off. So like maybe 1 out of 100 people that go through this I'll have like a unique opportunity to work with. So I'm going to give you guys so much freaking value through this course. It's going to blow your mind. You can go check out brokeragehacks.com/masterclass to sign up. And there's a story I want to tell you guys. I'm a huge comic fan. Like I love Superman and Hulk and all those movies. And so in the movie Superman, I don't know if you guys remember this from the movie Superman, but when Superman was a little boy, he had no idea he was Superman. And Superman grew up on this farm. And he was out working in the field, in the cornfield with his dad and the farm. And this like 10,000 pound piece of equipment, something broke, and the equipment came like falling down on his dad, and he was literally about to kill his dad. Like his dad was literally about to die. Superman's a little boy, and he has the courage to like put his arm up there, and he closes his eyes. I don't know if you guys remember this from the movie. Closes his eyes, and he's able to hold this like 10,000 pound piece of equipment to save his dad's life. Now, here's the thing. That may be like a crazy thing, and you guys are like, okay, well, I'm not Superman. But the thing that I want to ask you guys is like, do you have the courage to step out of your comfort zone? Because you have no freaking risk. You guys can learn for a month and get your money back. But are you willing to step out of your comfort zone to learn something maybe you've never learned before? And like, you guys might have some superpower. You may not even be aware that you have the ability to go and sell 4, 5, 6, 700, 1,000 homes. And the only thing holding you back are like, these small little nuggets that can help you unlock a door to open up this huge flow of revenue. So don't be the guy on the right-hand side that's a couch potato that doesn't ever get out of his comfort zone, that doesn't ever take action, okay? So if you guys want to get started now, go check out brokeragehacks.com/masterclass. Be the Superman. Get past those self-imposed limitations. Like, get through those self-imposed limitations. Like, I don't know where your mind's at, but like a couple little small nuggets can open up the doorway to something massive, something you maybe never even thought possible. So again, check out brokeragehacks.com/masterclass. Here's all the things you guys are going to get. My 90-day CEO masterclass. I'm going to have Bradley Pounds, my co-author, on there teaching it with me. Each class is an hour and a half. You're going to get access to Brokerage Hacking Academy instantly. This is all the stuff that I could not fit in the book. And then all these downloadable tools and templates, the brand ambassador presentation, vendor agreements, ultimate tech stack, like all this stuff, I'm just going to hand over to you on a silver platter. You guys are going to get an invitation to come to Austin. The one-day discovery pass here in Austin, you get to see the team, meet all the key people, my inside sales agents setting 90 to 100 appointments each, my listing agents taking 30 to 60 listings each per month. And then for those of you guys that come, we'll have a specific day per month where we'll have a private dinner at my house to be super cool. If you guys haven't signed up yet, maybe you're thinking I don't have enough experience. Maybe you're thinking I haven't sold enough homes or I don't have enough time or money. But I want you guys to look at this picture. This is a very humbling picture of me. And I started off as like nobody special. I started building my business on this red IKEA couch. The only thing I knew how to do was like learn from other people. And I didn't have venture capital. I didn't have debt. I didn't have loans. So I'm going to try to help you guys learn how to cheat off the smart kids, the smartest kids in class. And I'm going to share with you everything I've learned. And so guys, like to change your destiny, it all starts with one decision. And it's just a few nuggets of knowledge that could help change the rest of your life. So again, just to recap, here's everything you guys are going to get: 90-day CEO Masterclass, Brokerage Hacking Academy, downloadable tools, all the bonuses. I'm going to throw all that in. And I got one more little gift I'm going to give to you guys for the first 5 people that sign up. I'm actually going to give you guys, this is like super confidential, super private. I rarely show this to anybody. I'm going to give you guys the exact organizational model we're using in Austin to sell over 700 homes. So again, you guys can sign up. It's $1,497 or 3 payments of $497. It's a 90-day program. We'll be connecting every week. You also have access to the online Brokerage Hacking Academy. We're going to record every session, all of the documents, everything you need to copy and paste this. We're going to give to you throughout the program. And you guys can go sign up right now. Go to brokeragehacks.com/masterclass. Now, one thing I want to share with you guys, and the reason I'm telling you this is because this is exactly what happened to me. I told you guys about the first year of building a real estate team. On my first year, it was a total bomb. Like, I made no money. I was basically broke. And so I actually paid for coaching. I paid for coaching on a credit card. And I never recommended coaching to pay for coaching on a credit card. But this is the thing that I did back in 2010 that changed my life forever, because I didn't have enough money, but I knew that there was somebody else out there that had already done what I was trying to figure out. And it would be 10 times more expensive and take 10 times longer for me to figure it out versus just going and copying and pasting from somebody that's already figured it out. So if you guys go on PayPal credit, the reason I'm recommending this is because you can make no payments and no interest for 6 months, and then like test it out the first 30 days. And if you don't even like the program, I'll give you your money back. So like this is a no lose proposition, and I think everybody's gonna get paid like 100 times what they're gonna learn through this program. So lots of people ask me, will the course contain direction on what the agent training program should look like? And yes, I'm gonna tell you to the T what the program should look like. Lots of people want to know the brand ambassador program. Am I going to show you step by step how to do it? The answer is yes. You're going to know all the little nitty gritty details. And like, we spent an hour and a half just on the brand ambassador program. We are going to talk about the financial model, like the commission splits. I will give you guys a copy of the position agreement that we get agents to sign. I'm personally involved in this CEO Masterclass. I actually am not involved in the Austin team. So like, I only spend 1 hour per week working on our Austin operation. The other 99% of my time is focused on helping other teams around the country. So I'm going to be teaching this class, and Bradley is going to be teaching it with me. So we do it in tandem. You kind of get both of us for the price of one. My CEO Masterclass, the first one's going to start July 25th. Don't forget, like, as soon as you guys sign up, I'm going to send you login details for Brokerage Hacking Academy. And here's another little nugget. This is something I'm going to answer for you guys. So basically, we have what I do is each CEO masterclass, like I want to get to know you guys. Like I want to know like your strengths, your weaknesses. I want to understand your business. And so I do these in a very small group setting. And so there will be like 6, 7 people in your class when I teach this. And that way I get to know you guys intimately, and you can like ask as many questions as you want. And it'll be a blast, man. You guys are going to learn a ton. I ain't trying to be in the coaching game, but I am trying to teach people that like what the coaching industry has been giving you is keeping you on a hamster wheel and keeping you owning a job. It's keeping you in that bottom left-hand corner of that quadrant Robert Kiyosaki talked about of like owning a job. And so nobody tells you how to transition into a business owner because they want to keep you on the hamster wheel. Well, I don't care because I'm not in the coaching business, but I am going to deliver this amazing course to you to help you make that transition so you can start operating this lean, mean team that's going to outperform the competition and just dominate and crush everybody in your markets. And then for those of you guys that signed up, we'll be booking the private dinner at my house during the masterclass. We're going to try to figure out when everybody can get together. So super excited to work with you guys. Thanks so much for being on here. I guarantee every single one of you guys is going to like, your mind's going to be blown, and you're going to hear things you have never heard, like no one ever talk about. And we're going to go super deep, like get really granular so you can implement. Nothing will be vague. It'll be the exact steps to implement all these things like the brand ambassador program, your lead generation strategies, getting the right people on the bus to take advantage of all the leads you're giving them. So super excited to go through this with you guys. If you haven't signed up yet, go to brokeragehacks.com/masterclass. I teach these live. They're not recorded. And then you guys can ask questions on the queue. And then I also bring in Brad, my co-author, who I took over the business in Austin. So that's really important for those of you guys that want to plan your great escape and like get out of the business one day. You guys can ask Brad, like, how did I get him on board? How did I convince him to run the business without me? Like you guys, when you guys come to Austin, you can ask people, how often is Chris here? Is he full of BS? Like, and he's here all the time working, or is he actually pretty disconnected from the business? So anyways, like I want to show you all the proof behind the pudding. Thanks so much for getting on. Super excited to have you guys in the CEO Masterclass. Starts July 25th. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.